Spoilers, feel free to just continue to lurk or leave the stream. We are about to continue on with the Conria story, I believe. We're going to go talk to, I believe it's Catherine. And I believe this is related to Dainsleif because our title says it's chapter 4 for the quest.
Perfect. It's you two. I have a commission here that has your names written all over it. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say you're the only ones for the job.
Thank you for the lurkini.
The only ones for the job? Huh. If our help is really that important, it's probably some Archon class commission, right?
I've never heard that classification before.
The Adventurers Guild doesn't employ that kind of classification system. In fact, this commission is also probably not nearly as intimidating as what you're expecting. All it asks us to do is to find a missing person.
Okay.
Huh? Then why did you say we were the only ones for the job?
I came across this commission while reviewing our backlog not too long ago. It seems simple, but our records indicate that over a dozen successive efforts to complete it have all ended in failure, despite attempts by several accomplished and renowned adventurers.
You know, I would love for them to branch out and tell us who these other accomplished and renowned adventurers are.
With the reputation of the Adventurers Guild and the performance of the Sumeru branch at stake, it's in our best interest to assign this commission to the adventurer with the highest completion rate over the past few years.
Well, that's us for sure.
Flattery will get you everywhere with Paimon.
All I'm asking is for you to give it your best shot. If it proves to be beyond your capabilities as well, I'll talk to the commissioner about canceling the commission.
No, this is a missing persons case. You can't just cancel it.
Okay, so who are we looking for? And what is it about this?
This commission was jointly issued by the residents of Vimara Village. They say one of their own villagers has gone missing. But the problem is, they don't know the missing person's name. They can only provide information about his general appearance.
They're all from the same village, but they don't even know his name? If so many adventurers have failed to complete this commission, maybe this missing villager doesn't exist at all.
Unlikely. Several villagers came by to issue the commission, and judging by their appearance and tone of voice, they seemed incredibly sincere. It certainly didn't seem like a joke to them.
So my instinct is that it's related to the Aranara, but if it's also Vimara Village, isn't that the same village where the girl gets a vision in one of the Aranara quest lines?
Besides, putting up a commission requires a processing fee. There aren't many upsides to a prank that costs Mora to carry out. In any case, it would probably be best to go to Vimara Village and ask around first. The Adventurers Guild does have some information on hand, but I would say anything you can learn directly from the villagers would be far more reliable. The best way to avoid misdirection is to go to the source.
All right then, let's go! Paimon's starting to...
Okay. Because yeah, if it's called Bedtime Story, one of the things about Vimara is they're seen in people's dreams. Okay. So I was thinking of playing this on my my tower, but I started thinking about what if I need to change controllers.
Why don't we talk to some of the villagers to learn a little bit more about the missing guy? If this commission is really as challenging as Catherine made it out to be, we're gonna need to carry out a very detailed investigation.
But like, what if I need to change controllers? I don't know how
Hello there.
responsive the game will be if I need to change controllers on the tower. I haven't done that before.
Oh, no, we're adventurers. Catherine sent us to look into a commission here.
Ah, so you're here about that then. You're not the first, that's for sure. We've certainly made a lot of trouble for you all. To be honest, we aren't holding out much hope. Many adventurers have made their way out here, confident they'd be able to help us, only to leave soon after with nothing to show for their efforts. We've pretty much had it up to here in questions, and the area around the village has practically been overturned in search of clues. But no one has been able to make any headway.
So, this person we're looking for, what's his name? Where did he live? Does he have any relatives?
I don't know. I really have no clue. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, guess you are really sick of answering questions.
No, it's that Catherine just said none of them know. Like, this isn't they're sick of answering questions, Paimon. Be smarter.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound short with you. I was actually just giving you my answer to your questions.
Is there anything else you can tell us?
I know it may seem like we don't have anything to offer by way of information, but I promise you, we all have a very strong impression of him. When you live in the same village as someone, you develop a lot of memories together, you know? We just don't know the specifics. Maybe we did at one point, but that information is long gone by now.
So, I'm gonna call it. They're looking for an Aranara. Because adults cannot see Aranara. But if an Aranara... So we know that Aranara, there are some of them that like to live near the humans. And we know that this village specifically, if I remember correctly, had an Aranara that lived in it, that the woman who gets a vision became close to. And that's kind of like how she got her vision, was she regained basically her memories of the Aranara. So I'm betting an Aranara went missing, and they realized the Aranara went missing, even though they cannot openly perceive the Aranara as adults.
At least that's what everyone in the village seems to think. We've all exchanged what we know, and that was the only logical conclusion.
All right, specifics aside then.
Young guy, in his early 20s probably. Incredibly kind sort of person, always willing to lend a helping hand. I'd chat with him when I didn't have any customers. I even saw him stick out his neck for others on more than one occasion. Very interesting guy, that one.
Now that you've started talking about him, you don't seem nearly as down in the dumps as you did before.
But of course, everyone in the village is pretty fond of him. We wouldn't have issued that commission otherwise. There aren't many young people like him nowadays, so genuine and pure. To think that he just up and disappeared one day. I just hope nothing bad happened.
Could he have just moved away without telling anyone?
No, he's not the type to leave without saying goodbye. And anyway, moving away without being seen by a single person in the village, there's no way he would have been able to manage that.
Huh. All right, thanks for the information.
Oh, shut up, Paimon. Can someone please make a mod that I can put specifically on a PlayStation 4 that lowers Paimon's voice? Because, oh my god. Who else am I talking to? The game's not giving me little dots. Yeah, still Children of the Forest. He's talking about Aranara. Thank you for your thing. Aha.
It's that guests I hear.
Hi, Grandpa Amadea. We're here to help you look for the guy that's gone missing.
Ah, so that's what brings you to these parts. Coming all this way for our sake. That's so very kind of you. With your help, I trust that young man's case is in good hands.
Could you tell us a bit about him?
Of course. I'm happy to help any way I can. With my failing eyesight, I'm afraid I can't offer much about his appearance. But I do remember hearing the sound of his voice. Not recently, of course. That loss has left me feeling quite empty. I don't think his parents are still living in the village. But somehow he never seemed lonely. In fact, he was usually the one offering companionship to others. He would often take time to visit the elderly or play with the orphans in the village. And whenever someone had something on their mind, he was there to listen with open ears. He always knew just what to say. As the village chief, I owe him many thanks. Helping villagers navigate difficult moments in their lives should have been one of my responsibilities. But he was often the one rising to the occasion.
Wow. He seems like such a nice and gentle person. But, you wouldn't happen to know any details about his name?
I'm ashamed to admit it, but I just can't remember. No matter how you look at it, I should know those things. But for some reason, no matter how hard I try to remember, the information just doesn't come. Perhaps my age really has caught up with me this time.
It's okay. There's no need to force yourself to try and...
I still think it's an Aranara.
Well, Traveler, what do you think?
It's probably more of the case than meets the eye.
Paimon thinks so too. Like, the name, and nobody has been able to tell us anything about his family or where he lived. It's like this
He's
guy's
someone
been
who only
erased
exists
from
in people's
reality or
memories.
something. Wait, so you're saying it's not that he's been erased, necessarily, but more like he never existed to begin with? Okay, Paimon's gonna need some time to process that one. Someone who only exists in people's memories?
Could it be like what happened with the Greater Lord Rukudevata, some sort of mass alteration of people's memories?
You two are the adventurers who just arrived, right? You're here for the Vamara Village Commission?
Sure are. We were just...
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank goodness you haven't given up. I've been so worried the Adventurers Guild might cancel our commission. My name is Atosa, by the way. I grew up here in Vamara Village. Anyway, I just wanted to say, please keep searching for a missing villager. I'm begging you. You have to find him.
So, I like that the Traveler is thinking about like the mass memory wipe that happens with the World Tree. I don't like that the Traveler is not thinking of Aranara. Like, am I on the wrong track?
Yeah, no need to worry. We'll give it our best shot. So, were you close to the missing villager?
I'm not sure this counts as a lead, but follow me. There's a place I'd like to show you.
A giant tree, you say? Is it the home of the Aranara? I'm not gonna let that go.
Is this the place? Under this tree?
Yep. I know it doesn't look like much, but this place is very meaningful to me. It's so full of memories. We used to always sit together under this tree and talk. Sometimes we would look up at the clouds in the sky, or stop to feel the wind against our skin. We could sit there for hours at a time, never realizing how long it had been. I was actually adopted by the people of Vamara Village. The forest rangers found me in the woods as a child. I was surrounded by such good people, and growing up in the village was so lively. Still, there were times when I couldn't help but feel incredibly alone.
Alone?
How should I put it? When something's bothering you, or when you have good news to share, you always want to talk about it with somebody. But for the longest time, I didn't know who I could talk to, or if I should say anything at all. Everyone has their own problems to deal with. Even if I might want to confide in others, I don't want to become a burden. Really? You know exactly how I feel?
I used to have someone like that, a family member that I could talk to no matter what. But now I have a lot of friends who understand me and would be happy to hear me out.
Wow, that sounds really nice. You're quite lucky. When it comes to our missing villager, well, I guess you could say that to me. He felt like both a family member I could rely on and a friend who could really understand me. No matter what came my way, I knew I could always talk to him.
Okay, so let's say that it's not a mass memory wipe like the World Tree with Greater Lord Rukudevata. And let's say it's not an Aranara. There is another option where it's memory alteration that we saw with Al-Haytham's character story.
He was so
With the Google lens.
thoughtful and pure. And patient, too. Whenever I talked to him, he would always seem so interested, as if the things I was describing were just as important to him as they were to me. Ever since he disappeared, there's been so much I wanted to tell him. No, none of those things matters now. I just really want to see him again.
Wow. You two must have been really close. Did he ever tell you anything about himself?
He mostly just talked about interesting things he saw around the village. He'd share a lot of his own wild ideas as well. Oh, right! I did ask him about his parents once. But all he said was, they're not here anymore. I didn't know whether that meant they had left the village or passed away, and I didn't want to pry.
Still not much to go off of.
Look at me. Talking your ear off and still nothing to show for it. I'm sorry I wasn't more help.
You helped us understand him better.
The last time I talked this much in one go was when we were still together. Come to think of it, every time we talked, it always seemed to be around dusk. Just like right now. Time always passed by really slowly. Even when it felt like we'd been talking for hours, the sun would still be at the same position in the sky.
Well, time always seems to pass slower when you're relaxed, right? What's wrong, Traveler?
It was always the same time of day, and time never seemed to pass. Based on what we've learned, this is definitely not a regular missing person case. What Atosa just told us about time could be key to unraveling the whole mystery.
Hey, look at those hilly trails over there. Doesn't it seem like they're acting a little strange? The Abyss Order. Could they be the ones behind all of this? Uh-oh, we've been spotted! Quick, get ready to fight!
Okay.
Silence!
Nah. Oh, sure. More than you.
Emerge, right now, right here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting monsters to show up. If you hadn't been here, I'm not sure what I would have done.
It was no trouble.
The question we should be asking now is, what is the Abyss Order doing around here?
Now that I think about it, the hilly trolls around Vimara Village have been a lot more active lately.
Sorry, in the background behind the Traveler, I saw music coming out of a thing, and that usually means it's a treasure chest back there.
They seem agitated and would often attack anything in sight. Chief Amadea doesn't allow the children to play in the area around the village anymore.
Maybe
See?
the Abyss Order really is involved. Well, we should head back and check out the situation in Vimara Village just in case. If the Abyss Order is plotting something that could spell trouble for the villagers.
Don't you dare teleport me. No!
Wait a second. The person... It's Dainsleif!
Hello?
Ah, it's you two.
Hello, Bow Keeper.
Oh, a friend of yours? Well, I'll leave you all to it then. I should head back to the village and check up on Chief Amadea and the others anyway. See you later.
Yep, see you later, Atosa! Why do you always have to pop up out of nowhere like that? Is it your life's mission to jump scare us or something?
It's hardly personal, or intentional for that matter. As long as you and I are both in pursuit of the Abyss Order, we're bound to cross paths.
Ah, so you're here to investigate the Abyss Order then. That would explain the monsters you were fighting just now.
Naturally. Hold on. Are you not here for the same purpose?
We're also on their trail, but I'll admit we ran into them on accident.
No matter. It may have taken you a while to catch on, but I'm sure you've also realized by now that there's something strange about this place. The Abyss Order is most certainly planning something in this area. Or worse, their plan could already be in motion.
Can we just, pause and look at Dainsleif's character design? Look at how beautiful his hair is. It's just gorgeous.
So you think the Abyss Order is behind the hilly trail activity in the area?
As things stand, I highly doubt that is their primary motive. I would imagine the increased hilichurl activity is merely a byproduct of whatever it is they're really trying to accomplish.
Still, the hilichurl activity is causing a lot of problems for the people here. We should stick around for a while and protect the village, don't you think?
The best way to protect them is by figuring out what the Abyss Order is truly planning. That is how we prevent further tragedy.
Well, let's see what more we can learn from the villagers. After that, you also owe us answers.
And you shall have them. I never intended to hide anything from you. Don't worry. There should be ample time to talk.
You sure about that, man? No! Stop teleporting me! On the one hand, I don't mind because it's a story thing.
So that was the commission that brought you here to Vimara Village.
On the other hand, I really want that treasure chest.
Someone who seems to only exist in people's memories. That is indeed quite intriguing. I would agree that it's unlikely you have a simple missing persons case on your hands. However, any possible connection to the Abyss Order is still unclear. It appears all we have by way of clues is increased hilichurl activity, and that is certainly not much to go off of.
How about the intel you promised? Right! That mysterious voice he heard in his sister's memory. The one who called himself a sinner. Who is he?
Traveler, let me ask you this. Do you believe your sibling to have betrayed you?
I want to have faith in her. In a matter of speaking, yeah.
I sense hesitation in your words. After all, you still haven't figured out the whole truth of what happened. There's still hope for the two of you to reconcile. Irreparable damage has not yet been done. The sinner you wish to know about, his situation is different. He and his fellow sinners have long betrayed me, and long betrayed their nation. His name is Vedrfolnir, the Visionary. I'm loath to admit it, but he is also my kin, my older brother.
Dainsleif has a family!
Your brother?
What happened between the two of you? What really happened in Conria back then?
There were 5 of them, the 5 sinners of Conria. The wise, Roptatir, the visionary, Vedrfolnir, Gold, Rhindaughter, the foul, Sertologi, and Rehir of Solnari, Rerir. No matter how eroded my memory may become, I will never forget their names. One day, I shall have my vengeance.
Wait, some of those names sound really familiar. Rhindaughter is the one who created Albedo. Sertologi is Skirk's master. And the one we just learned about, Dane's brother, Vedrfolnir. If he was the voice of the sinner, then the one who inspired Clotar to create the Abyss Order was him.
Everything's connected. If that's true, then the stone slates we found in that ruin in Fontaine, the ones that outlined Fontaine's prophecy, that was likely Vedrfolnir's doing as well.
They were once people of great esteem in Conria. Those who carried the hopes of the nation. They were the best of their peers, outstanding in their respective fields. 6 of us, together. We should have been the ones to prevent the disaster. The ones to stop the Vinster King from continuing to rock the foundation of the world. Yet, deep within, the 5 of them craved something more. They could not resist the call of the abyss, and divided among themselves a power that could destroy the world. So they became sinners, but also transcendent beings, each in possession of world-shattering power. And when the cataclysm occurred, not one of them stood up in defense of their nation. Not one came forward to prevent the tragedy, and for that, they shall never have my forgiveness.
And then my sibling came into contact with your brother.
Indeed. If they are not stopped, the day is sure to come when they will also betray the entire world.
It must be hard to talk about this, but thanks for telling me.
Of course. As I said, I never intended to hide anything from you.
So, Dane, what have you been looking into all this time?
I've continued to investigate the questions surrounding the Loom of Fate.
Aha!
It's been quite some time since the initial operation was launched. By retrieving the eye of the first field tiller, we were able to stop part of their plan from coming to fruition.
Oh, Paimon remembers! Weren't they going to use it to corrupt Osial and make a god or something?
Indeed. However, it's obvious that was just some sort of technical experiment. The eye was integral to their plan, yet somehow, despite failing to obtain it, they've skipped the experimental phase and found some other way to keep moving forward. There are many signs pointing to that effect.
Then, what should we do? It's not too late, is it?
Okay, so that does mean that, like, my suspicion from, like, Fontaine and Sumeru is that there's two... So at first I was thinking, like, 2 nations of Conria, but as it went on, I was thinking that, like, there were 2 factions within Conria. And what Dane Salif is saying is that that's basically correct. There was a group that was building mechanisms to protect against the Abyss Order and the Cataclysm that happened. And then there was another group that was causing the Cataclysm, that was accessing the corruption of the World Tree and the forbidden knowledge. And that's what these 5 have, is they basically have forbidden knowledge, and that's their power. That may actually all be from this forbidden god. Maybe they are gods in the sense of, like, they need to rely on prayers. Like, Focalors relied on prayers to gather enough energy to destroy the seat of the Hydra Archon. Like, that's super interesting. That's super, like... And, like, that does make sense in terms of, like, they stole one of Venti's statues, flipped it upside down, and are using it to bastardize the world by having all this dark energy permeate inside of it.
Our most pressing concern is to determine the purpose of the Loom of Fate. From there, we'll be able to deduce the Abyss Order's true objective. Based on the intel I've gathered so far, I suspect the Loom of Fate is related to the ley lines in some way.
The ley lines?
Traveler, you were able to observe your siblings' memories last time, yes? I believe that was due to the fact that the ley lines in that area were unstable. My recent investigation has shown that Abyss Order activity in a particular area is usually followed by a series of issues with the ley lines.
That does kind of follow. We were able to see, like, past version of Diluc with ley line obstruction, and we were able to talk with someone from before the Cataclysm who was giving T to A, Raiden. That was a ley line disturbance. And one of the things that flows through the ley lines are memories.
Wait, then our commission here in Vimara Village, the person who seems to exist only in people's memories, could it be connected?
Memories, ley lines, the Loom of Fate, the missing person that doesn't seem to exist. What's the connection between all of
It's
it?
certainly possible. I'll join your investigation tomorrow. This missing persons case could very well turn out to be the key to unraveling these mysteries.
Well, if we're teaming up with Dane again, we're gonna need all the energy we can get. Let's try investigating somewhere a little further away tomorrow.
I do like that there was a small little side comment for the character talking about how, like, the stone slabs that they found.
So tired.
God, that was
Probably
loud and
used way
irritating.
too much brain juice yesterday. It's all Dane's fault saying all that complicated stuff.
Shut up. I will say that it's a nice side note that the traveler made a memory of the stone slates that it found, talking about the older prophecy in Fontaine. That was Vida Funir, whatever his name is. I want to say Vido Funir because that's like from Final Fantasy 14. What if it's the same name? Like just with a little bit of American Anglo-Saxon or Norse bent between the two of them. Because Vido Funir was the evil black one, wasn't it? That has like the eye. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Well, let's go find Dane. We've got a lot to do today.
Can I move my character now?
This is such a great
Awesome.
place for a vacation.
We were up like over here. So teleport over here. Because it was like up this way. Is this the tree?
Settle down.
Yes, because this was here. God, I'm so irritated to put that guide in the place of my inventory slot. That's so annoying. Is it this one?
Melusines are beautiful creatures. They are the pride of Fontaine. Be sure to befriend them and cause them...
No, it's not that. Where is it? Come on, what's the Aranara MacGuffin? Is it not the one that I'm wearing? I need to change controllers, damn it. Ugh. I've not been here before!
Right now. Emerge.
Heck yeah!
Show them.
See, this is what I mean by, like, the treasure chest nonsense would have been able to help me with this.
Right here. Emerge.
Windstrider.
Aha. Hello?
Silence!
There.
Let the record show that I verbally consent to relinquishing these items into your possession.
Good lord. No. Actually, I guess that can stay. So I want Sumeru, which is that one. Well, that was a fun detour. Because, yeah, once they're solved, see, there's no more music playing out of it because you've played the music and gone in. Good lord. That's something that, like, I wish the treasure compasses would zone in on. It's irritating that it doesn't. Like, the mechanisms, the red icon mechanisms, they don't go into that either. And they really should.
Dane? Hello, Dane? Why are you just zoning out over here? Did something happen?
The missing person from your commission. Could you describe them to me?
Oh, young guy? Early 20s? Seriously, Dane, what's going on?
There appear to be certain memories in my mind that weren't there before. Memories of him.
Maybe we just talked too much about him yesterday and you had a weird dream or something?
No, it wasn't a dream. They're memories. Memories that suddenly appeared in my mind after I woke up. And I'm certain I've never met this person before.
So, what did you remember?
I remember handing him the eye of the first field tiller.
Wait, hold on, what?
What? Okay, so this missing person definitely has something to do with the Abyss Order then.
Indeed. And it appears he possesses the ability to implant memories into the minds of others.
How is that possible?
Wait then. All the memories the villagers have of him, could they be fake too? Maybe they never knew him at all. But why would he do something like that?
Whatever the Abyss Order is planning, an important truth has been revealed to us this morning.
What sort of truth?
That their goal is still to obtain the eye of the first field tiller. They haven't stopped searching for it. I am the only person who knows its location. Perhaps implanting that particular memory was an attempt to interfere with my mind in some way.
Is the eye still safe? What if the memory is real?
Your concerns are not entirely unfounded. I don't believe the Abyss Order is capable of altering reality like that just yet.
I don't know. So, if he's able to implant memories, that sounds a lot like the capsule knowledge from Sumeru. So, the way that Alhaitham or anyone in Sumeru gains access to knowledge is they have these capsules, basically. And then they open them, and the information is downloaded like directly into their brain through like their Google Lens shit. But if I remember correctly, it worked even if you didn't have the Google Lens. Because Alhaitham was using it anyways. But also that if the Google Lens thing was still functioning as Greater Lord Rukkhadevata had imagined it to be functioning, Alhaitham's knowledge of forbidden knowledge should be available within like the Google Lens cloud type thing that they have access to. So like this isn't outside the realm of expected reality. So if you're like Paimon and you have a short-term memory, yes, it sounds surprising and fictitious and cannot happen. But whenever you start to, like me, you're stepping back and thinking about it, this is not unheard of. We have interacted with past memories before, one of which was very much a reality one with Raiden and the guy who likes tea and stuff before the attack that happens and her sister has died. That's a very real memory that she was directly interacting with. And then you move to the ghosts of the past on Hurricane Island. That entire thing on Hurricane Island could have been a ley line disturbance, right? Because we're interacting with the past every time we go back there. And like at the time, we don't describe it or categorize it as a ley line disturbance, but it makes perfect sense that like the ley lines are completely disturbed because the god of that area is causing elemental disturbances. And that's the same thing with the major part of Hurricane Island and Fog Island relating to each other. And then you look at the knowledge of a person is able to be encapsulated into a physical capsule. Let's say it's like a floppy disk, right? That's an easy analogy. You take a floppy disk and you put it into my computer and you download information on Paimon. You take out the floppy disk that has the information on Paimon and you take it to a computer down the street. You put it in, and now that computer has access to the information on Paimon. Now, if you go even bigger, you go to a third computer, or even that same computer, or even, doesn't even matter what kind of computer, you go to a computer that has access to the internet. And the internet then has access to this information all time. That's how the Wayback Machine works, is that they take snapshots of the internet at different times. All the entire internet, basically. And so that's how the corrosion has remained within the world tree, because every single person here is connected to the internet. The internet is, in this analogy, the world tree. So although Greater Lord Rukkhadevata has done multiple times her attempt to erase the forbidden knowledge from the world tree, at one point completely deleting herself out of it, she is not able, her sacrifice did nothing, because it didn't actually get rid of everyone else's knowledge of the forbidden knowledge, because all the people who are part of the world tree, which includes the Conria people are part of Tevat, therefore they have part of the world tree access. Their forbidden knowledge is still within the world tree and still corroding the world tree and corrupting it, I guess is another way to say it. So even if like the people who are part of Sumeru or the nations and stuff, the major nations that have archons, you still have these people from the godless nation that have access, that know of this forbidden knowledge. And then as the Sumeru scholars are going into more research about stuff, they unknowingly, and sometimes knowingly, are finding out about forbidden knowledge, and that's how Hathan comes by it. So, like, there's things to this story with Dainsleif of someone, like, implanting a memory into his head. That is not unheard of, really, because that's basically what Greater Lord Rukkhadevata did, was she implanted the memory of herself as Nahida is now Greater Lord Rukkhadevata. That's how the memories were all altered with the time change. And then Scaramucci has done it himself, erasing himself from the world entirely. He cannot erase his existence, but he can erase the knowledge of him, and so his future became much different. His life became much different.
However, considering their single-minded pursuit of the Eye, I would say an equal level of caution is in order on our part. Come with me. We must check whether the Eye is still in our possession.
Oh, so you're going to take us to where you hid it?
But what if someone follows us? If we go straight there and someone is on our tail, aren't we just exposing the Eye's location? Maybe that's the reason the Abyss Order implanted that memory in the first place, to force Dainsleif to confirm the Eye's location. Given what I know of him, I'm sure he's already thought of that possibility. It seems like he might already have a plan. Lead the way.
Of course.
All right, where is it? It's over by the chasm? Okay. That's an interesting place to hide it, considering a nuke was dropped on the chasm. We found that a while ago. Okay. Man, this story must be really hard if you don't have these domains and teleports unlocked. But this is a chute that leads underground into the chasm.
So you hid it way out here? Not an easy place to discover, that's for sure. Well, let's go check to see if it's safe.
Traveler, wait. We've no time to lose. Let's head inside.
What was Dane going to tell me just now?
Hey, wait up!
So we know that Dainsleif is suffering from corrosion because he's lived for 400 years. So we know that he's, like, ill. Look, a MacGuffin! A blue fire MacGuffin! I'm sorry. I'm only partially sorry, because, like, I'm part of the bitter party that wants Dainsleif to be a playable character. And I just got finished saying not that long ago about how, like, there are people who quit this game because they are not spending time bringing the Conria story to the forefront. They're dancing around it and talking around it, and it's very frustrating. Okay, so we have Lue architecture. That's what these glowing rocks are. They're from the chasm. The stone floor, however, is the Conria Enconomia type stuff. So if we fly in, oh, it's a person with a bowl. Okay, this is Enconomia statues. Enconomia type statues. Okay. So yeah, we're in a section of the chasm in, like, Enconomia type stuff. And this type of Enconomia architecture is, like, because, like, this strip right here, that strip with, like, the filigree stuff, that's, like, I don't want to say Conria, but that's, like, what we see in the older domains that I attribute to Conria stuff. The statues and the floor tiles, so, like, we're mixing eras, which is one of my favorite architecture things of this game, is we mix eras to figure out things. Because, like, this is from Enconomia. The walls are Enconomia. The circle arch, though, this circle arch to enter, that's not something you really see in Enkonomiya architecture. Enkonomiya architecture is very like this. It's straight up and down triangles. Like, see on his robe how it's got like a diamond shape thing? That's Enkonomiya architecture. This ramp, this partial circle ramp, and then the filigree on the side, the gold filigree, that's like Conria type stuff. So whenever we first got to Enkonomiya, I was talking about how like it looks like it takes homage from Conria, and that's definitely seeming to be the case. Whether or not this is actually like really Conria architecture, I'm in need of a word that is not Conria, because there's the outside on the cubes, and in the Liyue stuff, there's things that have, like Paimon's stomach has the 3 points, that's a 3 realms gateway. Then there's some that have 4 points, that's a 4 realms gateway. And those are all like Nation of the Sealies is kind of like the good analogy of the architecture. But like this sort of stuff, we see this in domains that have like Abyss Order text on it, which means that it's really, really old. So we are in a very old area right now. Oh, hello.
Bow your head.
So there's a door over there. Hello.
Windstrider.
Silence.
It appears the mechanisms here have changed over time. You can access the upper floor through the side door. Perhaps you should try reactivating the mechanism over there.
Oh. This back wall's interesting. So the stuff around it, this golden line that's going up at a 45-degree angle with the diamond, the triangle on it, that is Enkonomiya type architecture. But the core of it, does this move? Because this is like the natural progression from the 3-realm gateway into the 4-realm gateway, and now we have 3 golden orbs inside of it, 2 of which are in one orb and 1 of which is by itself. But also, this is the same symbol as the Conria flag. It's a cardinal direction with sub-cardinals, and that's entirely what this is. Highly fanciful version of it. That's totally what that is. Because you have, oh, we're gonna be moving these mechanisms. Okay, interesting. So this is like I said, it's Enkonomiya type architecture going on, and this is ruined on that side. Yes. And then there's a thing up there. Okay. So that door we are going to interact with. Okay. I'm going to try and stop talking. But like this is very, like I said, Enkonomiya styled stuff. But this is also the same sort of architecture that we saw. Did we see this kind of architecture in? Yes, kind of in the chasm. Because when we entered the chasm, we started seeing Enkonomiya type architecture. So this is like architecture it's old Enkonomiya, but it's also like, I'm gonna start calling this like the Nation of the Sealies kind of architecture. Is sort of what this is, because it's just as all over as the 3 realms gateway stuff, which like is interesting because the more that they're bringing this kind of architecture in, the more that they're leaving the other architecture behind. And like they're still putting them together with like some of the filigree designs and stuff. Oh, look, a ruin guard.
Right here, right now, right.
Bow your
Field
head.
tiller, that's what they're called.
Silence.
That's neat writing on that. Interesting. So our bowl holders, our bowl presenters, our bowl presenter statues, are similar to the ones that hold the bow in Enkonomiya.
Make sure all the runes are pointing in the direction indicated by the light. That should unlock the mechanism.
Oh, that was easy!
Ah, the door's open. Let's go. Our destination is just up ahead.
I will say that, like, this 4 diamond with swirl around it, that's new. We haven't seen that kind of design before. But again, it's also another, like, bastardized version of the stuff. Can I climb these guys? I'm curious because now they have light. So their heads are still destroyed. But now what they're holding in their bowl illuminates something. And I don't think we've seen that before with these statues, that, like, they're holding light in their hands in their bowl. That's, I think, a new thing. Also, let's go back here. I love the fact of, like, at some point, whenever we're dealing with, like, Enkonomiya and Khaenri'ah and things like that, gravity just stops existing. And everything just sorts of floats. I love that stuff. So, like, the braziers on the side here, that's, again, like, they're mixing Liyue stuff with Enkonomiya stuff, but, like, it's interesting to see. Wow, you don't usually see a door of resurrection often. Is this an Archon statue?
Looks like we can't go any further.
I'm getting Archon
Beyond
statue
your guard.
vibes.
I sense the presence of the abyss.
Hold on. If the 6 of them, including Dainsleif, have the ability to destroy the world, isn't that all of the elements? Animo, Geo, Electro, Dendro, Hydro, and Pyro and Cryo. That's 7. Okay, in order. Mondstadt is Animo, Liyue is Geo, Electro is Inazuma, Sumeru is Dendro, Fontaine is Hydro, Natlan is Pyro, and then the 7th one would be Shneznaya Cryo. Okay, so that's not exactly correct. So 5 of them are corrupt, which could be 5 of the elements, because Dendro didn't fit for a long time, so maybe that's part of it. Dendro is also the element that's directly in line with the world tree itself. So that's 6 of them, but then the 7th one would be what? The king? The 7th one could be Kaya, because Kaya is Cryo. But Kaya was not Cryo until after he revealed his problems to Diluc. It doesn't add up.
It's the Abyss Order! They're here!
Witness of
Emerge.
Destiny's
Right here.
inception.
Right
Vanguard of
One with
the
nature.
newborn
Bow
fate.
your head.
Is it?
Clouds high. The birds call into the wind.
I'm always watching. Right here.
right now.
Silence!
I don't think we've run into an ice one of these dudes before. We've run into Electro, Pyro, and Hydro. Okay.
Just as I suspected. The false memories were a trap. The Abyss Order just wanted to follow us here. Now that they're in the vicinity, we should have a chance to see.
Dane? What's wrong?
Can you feel that? There's been a disturbance in the ley lines. It must be the work of the Abyss.
Wow, you must be really sensitive to that sort of thing. Paimon doesn't feel it.
Paimon doesn't feel it because Paimon's the primordial one, doesn't give a shit. I don't feel it because I'm not part of Tevat.
You two, do as I say. Use that mechanism over there and leave this place.
Wait. Leave you here on your own? Will you be alright?
The Abyss Order is putting something in motion. If you return to Vimara Village, I suspect you might finally have the opportunity to locate the missing villager. Just think of it as a way to divide and conquer.
God damn, every single time we get something interesting with Dainsleif, he orders us to leave his side. And that's really frustrating from a story concept, because it's like, all the interesting stuff takes place off screen. That's so stupid. Dane has a point, but something still feels off. What am I missing?
I knew going along with your trap would be the only way to meet with you face to face.
How come she gets a cool sword? Also, I'd like to point out that her emblem on her chest is white. That means that she has her original star power that we had at the start of the game that I no longer have.
You risked your safety and that of the Eye? That's quite the gamble, Dainsleif. But I believe that I am the one walking into a trap laid by the Twilight Sword.
So, maybe I played too many Zelda games, but enough of the important Archon statues are in temples like this. Now, the only weird thing is that the statue behind him is a bowl holder larger than the others, instead of a bow keeper. Like, we really don't see many of the bow keeper statues. I think we've seen two that I can think of. There's the gigantic one in Enkonomiya on the cliff, where you can see the lantern they're holding whenever it's Nox view. But the other one is like in the palace before the entrance to the soul. SOL, soul. So maybe bow keeper statues are more unique to Enkonomiya rather than just like architecture that is similar to it. I don't know.
So you came here all on your own? What about those followers of yours?
When the Twilight Sword is prepared for battle, any army I could send would only be marching to their doom. Better that I face you alone. I know you must have a lot to say, but if it's a conversation you want, you'll have to defeat me first.
I don't remember whenever she got her sword. Did she have her sword last time when we saw the flipped statue? I don't remember. See, everything cool happens off screen and we don't get to see it. Oh. I'm sorry, cat. I gotta stretch my leg. Like, what's the point of my sister talking to Dainsleif when I, the character, don't get that?
The ley lines are all out of whack. We better hurry back to Vimara Village and see what's going on.
Look at these neat butterflies. They're floating in the distance.
Hey, look at those hilly trails over there.
They seem calm.
Weren't they acting super agitated just a little while ago? Why are they so calm all of a sudden?
Because the butterflies were by them, you idiot. I hear something.
In the new world, they bade farewell to the shrouded sun. At last, they no longer needed to dwell on their suffering, or try to differentiate between various thoughts of blasphemy. Such was the price they paid, and thus their souls became cleansed and pure.
Did they find a new way to cure the hilly churls? Did you hear that, Paimon? Why is my game screen frozen? It's not frozen for me. That was weird. The Elgato just had like a hiccup. I'm glad I saw that like as soon as it happened. Because all you missed was some like written dialogue on the screen. Why does it say that I'm not plugged into a 3.0 thing? I am. I literally haven't touched anything. It says it needs to be in a 3.0 cord. It is a 3.0 cord. My cat and I have literally done nothing. We're just sitting here chilling. I'm unplugging and plugging it back in to see if that works. Sorry, I'm doing troubleshooting here. Because it seems like the Elgato doesn't want to turn on now. I mean, it is in terms of like I'm still getting stuff to my television through it. It needs to be connected to a 3.0. It is connected to a 3.0. I'm sorry. Because it should be working, and I don't know why it suddenly decided to fart itself out. I might need to actually physically get up and unplug the Elgato side, which is weird. Aha! Okay, I have a picture now on that. Okay. I see picture, I see sound. You see picture, you see sound. Okay. That was very weird that like nothing happened. I wonder if I should just like buy another one of these cords. I have no idea. What am I looking for, game? So there was a voice that was talking calmly to the hilly churls, saying that their souls were cleansed. You're Mondstadt? I'm Aurelius, born and raised in Mondstadt. A few years back, I came here on my journey before tracing the footsteps of a lady poet. I didn't want to come in the beginning, but once I got here, I realized that this place is awesome. No one will force me to be a poet here. Even though my parents are both poets, I detest poetry. Instead of heading back home and letting them use beautiful rhymes to mock my lousy poems, I feel free and easy here. Right?
Looks like the same thing is happening over here, too. The hilly churls are calm.
You see, we're both still here. We've reclaimed an endless amount of time to love. Release your tears. You no longer need to hold back your sorrow.
It's that voice again.
Over there. It looks like they're sleeping.
In the end, he whispered softly, "Sleep well, Father. Sleep well, my beloved people. When you awake, that which differentiates us shall be no more."
It almost sounds like a poem or some kind of story.
So the idea of sleep well, that could be actually like a sleep well thing. In Japanese folklore, sleep well is and good night is also like you have now died. So have a good night in your eternal rest is that idea. In this, that which differentiates us will be no more, so everyone will become the same. That sounds very bad.
Well, now that the hilly churls have calmed down, Vimara Village should be safe at least. Let's put this situation to the side for now. Dane said this might be our chance to find the missing villager, so we should head back to Vimara Village before it's too late.
Also, like, is it not creepy that they have, like, dendro butterflies hanging out by them? Like, is that not weird? So the idea of that which differentiates us will be no more is on the surface a very good idea, but it's also a very bad idea. It's kind of like the idea from The Incredibles, where if everyone is special, if everyone is super, no one is. And so like on the one hand, it's good because you're evening the playing field. On the other hand, it means no one is allowed to be a creative or a prodigy or a genius or any of that stuff. And like that's bad because without that there is no progression.
Grandpa Medea, is everyone all right? The Abyss Order seems to be up to something nearby.
The Abyss Order? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Thank you for your concern. But as far as I'm aware, it's been business as usual here in the village.
Well, that's good to hear. Oh, also, you didn't happen to come across any clues about the missing villager while we were gone, did you?
Someone's gone missing, you say? Who would that be?
Huh?
You don't remember?
You know, the young guy from Vimara Village. The one you've been looking for all this time. You posted a commission with the Sumeru Adventurers Guild. That's kind of the whole reason we're here, actually. Your missing persons commission.
Ah, I do apologize, you two. I hope I'm not worrying you too much. I'm sure it's just my age making me forgetful again. At least right now, I can't seem to recall whatever it is you're referring to. Perhaps you should try asking someone else.
How is that? All right. Thanks for your help. Something's definitely not right. We just talked to Grandpa Amadea about... What do you think, Traveler? Could everyone's memories of the missing villager have been erased again?
Remember how she said it was like always dusk and time is the key? It's dusk right now. Time is the key.
You're right. We should narrow down the possibilities first.
Really? You're that dumb, both of you? You can't see that, like, it's the time of day? Oh, gosh. I hate when, like, I am ahead of the game. That's something that always infuriates me in this game. I'm ahead of it.
Someone's gone missing? Who?
Just as expected. That guy you said a bunch of nice things about earlier? The one you always used to chat with. He's around 20 years old, and you said he was a kind, warm-hearted person?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Really? You remember?
There aren't many young people who've earned that kind of praise from me. If you're certain that's what I said, then there's only one person who fits the bill. No doubt about it. But why'd you say he's gone missing?
Have you seen him?
I just saw him leave the village. There was someone else with him, too. They couldn't have gone far.
Remember, Daneslave said there was a ley line disturbance. This is the ley line disturbance.
Bayram seems to remember him. And apparently he just saw him? Do you think maybe it's not that there's something wrong with people's memories, but that we've somehow returned to a time before he went missing?
I doubt returning to the past would be that simple. Given everything Danesleaf has mentioned about disturbances with the ley lines, I'd say it's far more likely this is related to the memories in some way. I need to think carefully. What's going on? We're presently traversing someone's memories.
If this person only exists in people's memories, maybe we're in someone's memory right now.
Right! Paimon totally forgot about the ley line disturbances.
Ugh.
We're in someone else's memory. Just like how you entered your sibling's memory last time. That would also explain why we seem to be at a time before he went missing. It's a memory after all.
If we're really in someone's memory, this is our chance to find him.
Right. If he's someone who only exists in people's memories, then we're finally on the same turf. But didn't Bayron just say that he saw him leave the village with someone? Where should we go look for him? Who knows how long this ley line disturbance is gonna last? We might not have that much time, and we don't even know whose memory this is.
Let's go through what we do know.
Good idea. We pretty much figured out that the missing villager has the ability to
Implant memories into the minds of others.
Right! That! Could we try to figure out more about... Like, does it maybe leave a trace that would somehow give...
Implanting memories into the minds of others must be an imperfect process. There's no way the new memories could perfectly blend in with the old ones. There has to be some kind of tell. Time.
If time was allowed to pass within the false memories, there's a higher chance they might conflict with someone's original recollection. That would make it much harder to avoid suspicion.
No wonder! All this time and the sky hasn't changed a bit! That's the tell of the fake memories! The implanted memories are basically taking place outside of the regular 24 hours of the day. If the memories included the regular passage of time, it would be easy for people to tell that something was off. Like there could be overlap or something. People might start to wonder why they remember doing two different things at the same time of day. That's why he makes sure the memories take place at a specific moment in time rather than over a period of time.
If we consider this in conjunction with what we already know, the question of whose memory this is seems to have an obvious answer.
The color of the sky coincides with the moment in time she described.
Oh, right!
Come to think of it, every time we talked, it always seemed to be around dusk. Just like right now. Time always passed by really slowly. Even when it...
Yep, that has to be it! This is... Yeah, that's where...
To the tree! I do like how the mini-map has locked me in, but like, if I wanted to go and do something right now, if I needed to take a break or whatever, it feels like I can't. Because I'm locked in.
So, you see, Granny Jahiet was a mercenary when she was younger. She just talks like that out of habit. She's not trying to scare the children on purpose. Oh, there I go again. Always talking about my own things. Do you maybe have anything you want to share? It's okay if you don't. You could also just talk about what you think of me?
Wow, that outfit is really interesting. So first off, it is blue and white, obviously. Secondly, it looks like a knight type outfit. The blue purpley design is very similar to Dainsleif.
Oh, I think you're an incredibly strong and thoughtful young woman.
And the emblem on his chest is a Conria emblem, like what a herald wears. So he is definitely Conrian. He's probably Dainsleif's brother, actually.
You'll meet many amazing people and live a very happy life. You won't miss someone like me.
Huh?
His eyes.
Are those your friends over there?
We found him. But why does he look familiar? He looks like Dainsleif.
Oh, right. This version of Atosa hasn't met us yet.
Friends? I guess you could say that. It must have taken them a lot of effort to find me. So, I should see what they need. I'm sorry, Atosa. We'll have to continue this conversation another time.
Another time, huh? Yeah, okay. I'll head back to the village then. Talk to you some other time.
Wow, she's so awkward around him. That doesn't sound at all like how she was talking about it before in her memory. All right,
nice to see
Conria.
you, traveler. I believe this is the first time we've met.
You are. Factory in memories, the Abyss Order, the Loom of Fate, everything else. I need to think of the one person that connect all of this together. Clothar, Alberk, Caribert Albert, the visionary of Vidifern. Is it Caribert?
Born into abject sorrow, he shall now become the Loom of Fate.
What does it say for Clothar?
The founder of the Abyss Order. The man who broke the curse of immortality. Dane's brother, one of the 5 sinners of Conria. The one who stole the power of the Abyss.
I think it's Caribert because it zoomed in on a thing on his arm. That would be a Caribert thing.
You're Caribert Alberic.
Oh. You know me? That's quite the surprise. I don't believe I've met you before.
So, he's the son of a Conrian nobleman who's a pureblood. He's not pureblood. He becomes a hilly churl. So why are his eyes showing that he's a pureblood?
Oh, I see. It was the memory, wasn't it? Your sibling's memory. You saw the me from back then. This is Atosa's memory. I came here to say goodbye to her, but I suppose I'll just leave her a message instead. Come, let's find somewhere else to talk.
That's not creepy at all, and not at all something I can translate. Okay. Interesting. We're loading. That's what's happening in the bottom corner. So I don't know if I click anything. No. How does this loading screen work if you have a very fast computer that loads it quickly, I wonder? That's unusual. We're basically like in the land of the dead. Remember how in Sumeru there's like a section where the water, you can walk on it? Yep, look at that. It's the exact same thing as the land of the dead, where stuff is frozen in time. Okay, Caribert? So, what is this place?
I suppose you could call it the realm of my consciousness. I'm someone who no longer exists in the real world, after all, as you well know.
So his entire body was destroyed when that burst of energy happened.
It's nothing. I still have enough strength to play the part of a good host. I've always hoped that I'd get the chance to talk to you like this, and now, the time has finally arrived.
This is a rare opportunity for me as well. I should learn as much information from him. What is the Loom of Fate?
Extreme sorrow and pain. Hope and regret coursing through your veins. And a degree of abyssal power that defies comprehension. Father told me that once I possessed all those elements, I would become the Loom of Fate. But, despite his intentions for me, I never truly became the Loom of Fate. I was merely used as a means for its construction. In truth, I died the moment I set everything in motion. The person you see before you now is nothing but a remnant of consciousness left over within the Loom of Fate.
Caribert is dead. That's why he no longer exists outside of people's memories. So Caribert died to become the Loom of Fate. He did not become a Loom of Fate, but he was absorbed into it.
As for your question, the Loom of Fate is a device capable of weaving ley lines.
Weaving?
In its primitive form, it can only be used to create and implant memories. But, as more of it is completed, its power becomes stronger and stronger, until finally, it has the power to weave real ley lines of its own. Once fully completed, the moment it gains the power to weave ley lines, it loses the lower-level ability to influence memories. But it also becomes a tool that can change the entire world.
So that was your source of ability to implant memories.
Yes. I have the ability to control the loom in its semi-completed form. I suppose you can think of it as a form of compensation. After all, its existence cost me my life.
So the memories that suddenly appeared in Dainsleif's minds were implanted by Caribert through the half-finished Loom of Fate. That makes sense, but I'm still lost as to why he went so far as to introduce himself to the residents of the village.
That. I was wrong to implant those memories. I'm sorry I caused so much trouble. Not only for everyone in the village, but for you as well. I just wanted them to feel like I once existed in this world. As if I had a chance at life.
So that's why. I never would have guessed. Is there any kind of meaning to this? Does only existing in people's memories really count as living?
I know what you must be thinking. Why would I do something so meaningless? But I just couldn't accept it. I had to know what it would be like if I had my own life. What kind of person I would be. What other people would think of me. Chief Ahmadiyya, Baram, Granny Jahiyat, Atosa.
Oh, the little statues of them, that's cute.
What would it be like if I could live alongside them? No cataclysm, no curse. Just a quiet life in a peaceful village. I was curious, so I selfishly tried to have my own life.
Aww.
Even if that meant piecing together the version of myself that could have been. One memory at a time. I know it sounds stupid. After all, My life ended a long time ago. Any chance at living was stripped away from me when I was 8 years old. My consciousness left to mature in an illusory world of nothingness. Even the form you see before you was nothing but an invention based on my father's appearance. An imagined version of what I would look like if I had the chance to grow up.
In the end, this all stems from the tragedy that occurred in Conria back then. You know, everyone is looking for you.
I know. But there's nothing I can do to make them find me. If I could exist in the real world, I would return without a second thought and surprise them with the suddenness of it all. But, well, that's not possible for me.
I'd like to point out that Paimon's not here with me. As I understand it, even though you only appeared in their memories, your existence was a great comfort to them. They all believe you once lived among them.
I know.
Well, now that I've found you, let's continue this conversation some other time. Dane might still need my help.
Captain Dainsleif. Twilight Sword, you mean? No need to meet up with him. Things should already be settled on his end.
Settled?
Exactly. As someone who could only exist in people's memories, the fact that I'm able to talk to you in my consciousness like this can only mean one thing. The Loom of Fate has already been completed.
Oh, that's not good. What? It's already complete? That means that the first field tiller, the eye of the first field tiller must have fallen into the hands of the Abyss. Could something have happened in Dainsleif? So I like the tree behind Caribert, the tree on the top of the hill. If we get a chance to come back here, that could be like where the Loom of Fate is. But I've always had it in my mind that like the Loom of Fate was a thing that existed on the moon and Celestia has control of it. Okay, wait. It probably does. There's probably like another device or that is properly called Loom of Fate. And then these people of Conria are using Caribert to create their own Loom of Fate. Hi, DJ. Yes, this is the newest story patch. So they're using it to create their own Loom of Fate because in their mind and the Abyss energy power, the corrupted energy of the Abyss, which does not belong into that, their whole idea, same thing with King Deshret and Jacob and the Fontaine people, all of them have the idea that they need to wrest back the power to control their own fate, wrest that power from the heavens, because the heavens are corrupted. The heavens are not being controlled by the proper people who should control the Loom of Fate. And whether or not it's wresting control from the gods or wresting control from usurper gods, like at the very core, it's the same thing. I'm going to create a thing that allows me to fundamentally change the world. Now, there is a problem that will happen, and I don't know if they'll go over this. If there are two ways to control the world, let's say, like the world tree or like the world itself, how does the world tree know which one to listen to? Because the constellations guide everyone's fate, and the fate is controlled by the Loom of Fate, by the world tree, but it's also controlled by the Loom of Fate. So how do we know how fate is going to continue to pass? Because like, unless they're going to do something very, very interesting with the story, which would be very far off than what they're already at right now, they have the potential to go like the dot hack games of 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the PlayStation 2 of Outbreak, Limitation, Quarantine, whatever they're called. Those 4 games fundamentally have the world destroyed. And as you play through game 1, the world is basically functioning. But when you get to game 4, there's giant segments of code and textures are missing and all sorts of stuff is just discombobulated in the video game that you're playing because the world is literally being destroyed. by the outbreak of the Ida, or whatever they call it. I think it was Ida, from the Epitaph of the Twilight. So like, as much as this feels like it is its own original story, I feel like the devs are and the translators too are taking ideas from previous games that have done well. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like, you kind of want to have like an original story. And the idea of like the world being altered and stuff, that of course that's like Norse mythology and stuff, and you're taking from like Final Fantasy 14, or you're taking from PSO2, has very gigantic time things that happen as you adjust time, literally allowing you to save a daughter, the Akashic Records basic daughter. You get the ability to go back in time after she is killed, and you get to save her. But also allowing like her to become corrupted, and then you save her. Like, she falls victim to the negative energy of the world, basically, and you allow that to happen and save her in the process of it. So like, are we going to go down like a PSO2 type route, or are we going to go down the route of like Trickster Online, where no matter what we did in the past, someone was always going to die? Like the guy who fell in love with the girl, the knight dude, whatever his name was, I forgot off the top of my head. He was always fated to die, whether or not he gets poisoned, whether or not he gets stabbed with a spear, whether or not an arrow comes in with poison and stabs him in the heart. Like, he is always fated to die. No matter what you do to try to change that, he still dies. And he is cursed in the sense that even in the present day, him and the girl as lovers try to become together, and he still is sick and dies. And that cannot be changed. And the more that you try to change that, the more it happens anyways. No, it's not the same thing as like the Spider-Verse's idea of a canon event, because the Spider-Verse is them like trying to undo and destroy things and stuff, but it happens anyways. So like in the most recent Spider-Verse thing, where the police captain is supposed to die, and Spider-Man saves the police captain from dying, how that would happen in Trickster Online is the police captain would die anyway. He may not die in the sense of like he falls into a pit with a bus and dies, but instead a car rockets down and hits him anyways. Like, you cannot stop the event from happening no matter what you do. Like, they will still die in that moment, and the way that they die will just be different, but they will still die. As opposed to the Spider-Verse, where it's like, we stop them from dying, and so now the world has to create another instance of them to then die. Whereas in like Trickster Online's variation of the story, they will still die at 9:05 p.m. and 30 seconds. They will always die at that time, and there is no changing that. They will always die at 9:05 on January 3rd, 1972, kind of thing. Like, that is the way it goes in the world of Trickster, and there is no changing that. They will just flat out die. And in Trickster Online specifically, it carries across the soul. So when he is reborn and him and his girl are reborn, he is born as a sickly person because he is sick under the curse, and then he dies anyways. So Genshin has multiple different paths that they can potentially take to try and alter things and stuff. We haven't done time travel specifically for ourselves. What we have done is we have altered knowledge of the world tree, which is not the same thing as time travel. Like, we are still always within the present, and we just have ley line disturbances to interact with the past. This is a ley line disturbance that is allowing us to communicate with Caribert, for example. Like, we ourselves are not in the past, and he himself is not in the future. He is a ley line construct because he is a creature of Tevat, so he exists within the world tree, so he exists within the ley lines. But again, they are setting themselves up for a problem of what controls fate, what controls the actual problem. Because if the idea is that the Luma Fate, under the control of Celestia, has the power to do all these things, and the world tree records it all, and the world tree has the final say kind of thing, but then how come someone who can access the world tree can change stuff? Like, if the world tree was so powerful and unable to become corrupted, how come a god that should not have that power, the Dendro Archon, that should belong to the Dendro Dragon, first of all, but how come that person can go in and change the world tree to erase herself and not do any bit of good whenever she does? And otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation with caribert at all, because the corrupted knowledge would be gone. She died for no reason. And that she can allow visitors to see the world tree with myself and Scaramouche, and Scaramouche has the power to erase himself. He cannot erase his existence, but he can erase what his life was. And like that doesn't change the actual trajectory of reality. It just changes that no one knew who the hell he was. Like that's the thing. It's a problem. They're running into a problem of like their stuff is still existing within its own rules, but they're about to run into a problem, and I don't know if they're going to actually rectify it.
No need to worry about Captain Dainsleif. He's absolutely fine. The only reason he lost the eye was because I happened to guess exactly what he was planning. Captain Dainsleif has had the eye inside his body this whole time, hasn't he?
Wait, what?
His plan was to lure the Abyss Order to a false location, capitalizing on their pursuit of the eye in order to have the chance to confront the princess. He would then hand the eye to you and tell you to take it away from that location. That way, Captain Dainsleif could accomplish his own goal and ensure the safety of the eye all at once. A very thorough plan.
But Dainsleif never handed me the eye.
That's right, because in his mind, he had given it to you already.
Wait, does that mean that he gave Dane a false memory? You made him think that. When?
Before you two entered that false location.
Traveler, wait. We've no time to lose. Let's head inside.
So when Dainsleif froze up back then, it's because a false memory is being implanted in his mind.
That
I
was
wonder.
when I implanted the memory of him handing you the eye. Given the tense situation at that time, Captain Dainsleif failed to notice anything out of the ordinary, and took that memory to be real. I'm sorry, Traveler, but I needed the Loom of Fate to be completed. And to do that, we had to retrieve the eye.
What the freaking hell, man? So Dainsleif had the eye this whole time, until the Abyss Order took it away. I'm not sure there's anything that we could have done. Now that the Loom of Fate is complete, what are you going to do with it?
I promise I'm not trying to conceal anything from you, but I truly have no idea what the princess is planning. Tevat's ley line system is deeply entrenched in the planet. Creating new ley lines can neither replace nor extend the ones that already exist. In the face of everything they could be planning, I fear I'm too insignificant to even get a glimpse of the bigger picture. In any case, I had my own use for the Loom of Fate, and my goal, at least, has been achieved.
What's your goal?
You remember my father, don't you? Clotar Alberic. I believe you saw him in your sibling's memory, after he used the power of the Abyss to restore consciousness to my hilichurl form. I suffered from an indescribable level of mental anguish. To comfort me, my father told me a story, that this was a fairy tale world where I had to take on the form of a little monster. That story managed to dispel my fears, even if just for a moment. My goal was simple: to use the Loom of Fate in its near-completed form, when its ability to create memories was at its strongest, to implant a specific memory into the minds of the hilichurls. In that memory, I would tell them a story, just like my father did for me. It was a story of fairy tales and love. But more than anything, it was the story of us.
So the thing that caused the Hilichurls to calm down was Caribert's story. So that was his goal. The only thing that he wanted. He had a device as powerful as the Loom of Fate at his disposal, and all he wanted to do was offer the Hilichurls a moment of comfort and peace.
I can't change the world. Not when I lost the very right to exist within it. Implanting those memories, that was the most worthwhile thing I could offer.
I agree with what he did, because the Hilichurls are citizens of Tevat. They are Conrians who are suffering, and giving them a bit of repose is benevolent and kind and gentle and very good. However, to get that, he allowed something that will alter the world itself to come into being, and it's in control. It's in the hands of our enemies. I think this was a very meaningful indeed.
All that's left of my existence is a wisp of residual consciousness tied to the Loom of Fate. In truth, that trace of my consciousness should have dissipated long ago. My goal was the one thing that allowed me to hold on all this time. But now, the bedtime story is finished. And it's finally time to rest.
Again, every single thing they do with Dainsleif happens off screen. Freaking irritating. And he vanishes into blue light. Not unlike the World Tree stuff.
Looks like I was too late to see Caribert one last time.
What the hell are you doing here, bitch? Punch her, punch her, punch her.
Caribert's consciousness is gone, and this space will soon disappear along with it. Neither of us belongs here. That's why we're not tangible. Were that not the case, I'd love to hug you too.
Yeah, right. Don't lie to me.
Well, how about a conversation?
Bullshit!
The chance to just stop and talk like this is certainly not easy to come by. Wouldn't you agree?
It's not real.
That battle earlier was tough. The one against Dane, I mean. I didn't expect that after everything, he would still hesitate to raise his sword against me. Were it not for that, perhaps I'd still be no match for the Twilight Sword. Even after 500 years.
Okay, so I know what she's planning. She's planning for, like, peacefulness with the Conrians and all that stuff. But what are you going to do with the Loom of Fate?
The Loom of Fate, huh? I still haven't found a way to utilize it to its full potential. But there's still time before the heavenly principles awaken.
They're still asleep?
Yes, for 500 years now, ever since the cataclysm in Conria. There's been no sign of activity. Not long ago, you witnessed the Hydro Archon destroy her divine throne. Yes, such a flagrant disregard for the rules, and still Celestia took no action. I suppose that's proof enough of the Heavenly Principles situation. However, the Heavenly Principles will awaken. We just don't know when that will be, or what might trigger it.
You really hate the Heavenly Principles, don't you?
You could say that. Just look at Caribert. He was so pure and single-minded. The space we now find ourselves is a perfect representation of who he was. Quiet and peaceful. Even as a hilly churl, seeing the terrible sight within the mirror wasn't enough to taint his spirit. He brought comfort to the people of this world, even though he was denied the very right to be a part of it. So ask yourself this. Who was it that deprived him of that right to exist?
His father, the abyssal god of the darkness, the Conrian evil peoples, well, there's a list!
Of course, that's only one example. My feelings about the Heavenly Principles are too complicated to explain in just a few words.
Ma'am, literally I can give you multiple examples of people that led to Caribert's death. His father, the 5 people that destroyed Conria because they didn't stand up in stopping it, the 5 people, same people who were addicted and wanted the power of abyssal energy, and so they became basically like gods, and the same 5 people that want to destroy the world, not including or not discounting Rhine-daughter and Dainsleif's brother. So that means that all of this comes from the abyssal energy itself, which you are using. You may have this nice paradise outlook on life, but you are using actual negative energy that does not belong in Teyvat. No. Okay, to be fair, let's say that Teyvat was corrupted by something from the 4th realm. The Abyss being one of the 3 realms. The Abyss does technically... The Abyss, the world of humans, and the world of light, those are the 3 realms that exist within Teyvat. The 4th realm being Celestia, just being right? Okay. Or let's say that, the heavens and the corruption inside of it. That's all fine. But by specifically using the Abyss energy coming up from the dregs of the realms, you are causing the world tree to suffer and die. You are causing destruction to the world, and it has led to many civilizations of many hundreds of millions of people dying. Not just Desarest people, but the people of the Narjan Cruz Ordo, the people of Fontaine, the people of Old Fontaine and Remuria, the people of Conria itself. She's on a path that she thinks is right and just, but she is not going about it in the correct way. And we ourselves as a player do not know if the Heavenly Principles is being controlled by something that has been corrupted from outer space. That's me as a player assuming that, because we know that Dvalin was seen in Hoyoverse, other games and stuff like that. We know that there is stuff that exists beyond the stars. Same thing with Skirkt and the Whale. There are things that exist beyond the stars that are coming in to corrupt Teyvat. They're not making Teyvat better in these cases. All of these things that are descenders to the world are causing chaos to it and are not helping it, are not making it better. Yes, you could argue that the Heavenly Principles, before they became corrupted by Celestia, were perfectly fine and were doing things perfectly fine. But since the corruption, it's also gotten worse. So just saying that you hate the Heavenly Principles is not the same thing as saying that you hate the people who are now controlling the Heavenly Principles. There's something else. And why is the Heavenly Principles asleep? Why is it not waking up? And does that mean that the thing that stopped our path from leaving the world, that's now implied that is not the Heavenly Principles that stopped us? I have words for you, girl.
Ether?
You need to answer my questions.
You're the only one in this world who calls me that. There's so much I wanted to ask you, but for some reason, I'm not interested in asking those questions right now. There's just one thing I have to ask. One thing I could never understand. Why? Why can't we continue our journey together?
Was that something just sitting in the tree?
At the end of my journey, I arrived at a place known as the Sea of Flowers at the end. Do you remember? A long time ago, when we traveled between worlds together, you told me you wanted to find a place in the universe where that one flower was in full bloom. To have a place like that suddenly appear before me, well, would you think of that as a coincidence?
You mean...
I miss you too, Ether. But as this war continues to rage, and as I continue to seek that final answer, I don't even know how to face myself sometimes, let alone my own brother.
Huh? What's going on?
This space has lost its tether. I doubt it'll be able to exist much longer.
Oh my god, the cracks on the screen are terrifying.
In fact, aside from our inability to physically interact with each other, there's something else you should know about this space. With Caribert gone, we won't be able to remember anything that happened here.
What? That's bullshit!
Everything in space will be wiped from existence, including all memory of our reunion.
That's so stupid!
You're only telling me this now?
So many layers of stupidity! So many layers of stupidity! He should have punched her! If they wouldn't have remembered that, he should have punched her! So many layers of irritation with the storytelling in this game. Why introduce Dainsleif just to eject him from the plot again? I swear to God.
Still so sleepy. Oh, Paimon woke up a little earlier than you, so Paimon will fill you in. The villagers said that they saw us sleeping near the village yesterday. They couldn't wake us up no matter how hard they tried, so they decided to just bring us back here. Oh, and Dane came by just now. It looked like he was injured. He didn't say anything, though. Just made sure that you were all right and left. Kinda seemed like he had a lot on his mind, but that's Dane for ya.
He never changes.
Let's think for a second. We were in that memory, and we saw that guy you called Caribert. He was the missing villager that we've been trying to find, right? And after that, Paimon doesn't remember what happened.
Because you weren't there. Caribert and I talked for a while. He told me about the Loom of Fate.
Wait, really? What a score!
I guess our commission is complete then. The missing villager, the person who has only existed in people's memories, was Caribert all along. But now that he's gone, I'm not sure how to explain things to the villagers.
What happened after that?
I can't remember. Maybe I'm just tired? I feel like something else happened, but why can't I remember? I'm not sure why, but it almost feels like I lost something.
Ah, there you are. Sleep well?
Bayram, you sure seem happy. Did something good happen?
Something good? Huh. Wasn't anything good or bad, I'd say. It's just that, well, the village organized another search party yesterday. It didn't feel right to leave all the searching to the adventurers. So there we were, searching away, when suddenly this one guy said it all came back to him. According to him, one day around dusk, he was passing by this one tree outside the village, and he saw our missing villager. There he was, sleeping under that tree all by himself. His parents came a little later to wake him up, and they all left together. They looked like quite a happy family, apparently.
So this does bring into the question of if Vidofenir, whatever the guy's father's name is, Clothar, if Clothar, he was the one who escaped death after murdering his son. We don't quite know what happened with the mom, but we know that those two are buried and they're dead. Caribert is completely, well, Caribert technically is not erased because before he vanished, he said that there's a wisp of him, a trace, remaining within the Loom of Fate itself. In the completed Loom of Fate after he has vanished and disappeared and done all those things. So, like, the writers have left themselves the potential for us to save Caribert from the Loom of Fate and bring him back out.
And after that, well, we all started to feel like that really is what happened. Kind of strange that we forgot all about it for so long.
So that's how Caribert said goodbye. That was the last memory he gave them.
Oh, and we also remembered his name, Caribert. Now, that's not a name you hear every day. Would have been helpful if we remembered it sooner.
Because it's a Conrian name. Make sure you remember it this time.
Well, I hope he's happy wherever he is. And we're all relieved now that we know what happened.
Also, our interaction with our sister didn't actually give us any insight.
That's probably for the best. At least they have some sort of explanation now.
Caribert is gone, the Loom of Fate is complete. And no one will try to change the village's memory. No! 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 No, 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 no. If you want to tell me that everything that existed inside that space with Caribert on the standing still water and the islands with the trees floating in the sky, if none of that is able to be remembered, how do we remember the Loom of Fate is complete? We didn't find that out until we were in that magical space. With Caribert. With floating trees. With the tree behind him that's glowing. All of that stuff should have been erased. We should not know the Loom of Fate is complete. Because if they're going to tell me that the Traveler remembers that shit, I should be able to remember that I talked with my sister. And I should remember Caribert's death. This does not work with your goddamn storytelling. You're telling me I cannot remember this shit, and then in the next breath you're telling me I do remember the shit? I remember his goodbye, and I remember the Loom of Fate? No, that's not how tight storytelling works. Did no one proofread this bullshit?
Paimon wonders how Atos is doing. Maybe we should go check on her. If she hasn't remembered like everyone else, we can tell her what happened.
I'm actually angry. Everything else, while I may not like their decisions in story direction, like, let's bring in Dainsleif for 2 minutes and then kick him out of the story. I may not be happy with certain things that they do, but it's still storytelling, and I understand why it exists. This specifically goes against what they just told us. You will not be able to remember what happens in this space because it is part of Caribert's construction. When he vanishes and is gone, the memories will vanish too, including learning about the Loom of Fate being completed, and learning that Dainsleif had the eye in his body, and learning that Dainsleif was implanted with the memory that he had given it to me already, and that the Loom of Fate was actually completed because the eyeball was actually found by our sister, and then our sister has a reunion with us. All of those things should not be remembered. So in one breath, our sister says that, because Caribert is vanishing, the space that he has created that we are standing in has vanished, which means the memories will vanish with it. We wake up from our nap, we say that we don't remember what happens afterwards, and we say that we feel like we lost something. Meaning the memories of reuniting with her sister. Very tender moment, yada, yada, yada. But then literally in the next bit, it says we remember Caribert is gone. We remember how Caribert said his goodbyes. And we remember about him being able to implant memories. I mean, we kind of knew that already, but that's the goodbyes. And we are able to remember about the Loom of Fate being complete. All of that information came from that magical space that we should have forgotten. And us just stating that the Loom of Fate is complete, Paimon should react to us saying, oh my god, the Loom of Fate is complete, and she doesn't. You cannot give me that as a text option, as the traveler remembering those two things happening, Caribert's death and Loom of Fate being completed, when they just were forgotten. That is not okay. That is bad story writing, because that's saying that even if that's the incorrect option for the text to advance, that is incorrect storytelling within your own rules, within your own game. That is stupid. Absolutely stupid.
I didn't see her in the village just now, so she's probably at the tree.
Absolute stupid. My gosh. How many people are working on your shitty story to have that kind of an error happen? My god. Stupidity. Where's a survey? I have immediate feedback for you guys. You broke your own story lore. God. It's not okay.
Hey, Atosa, how's it going?
I'm sad!
Oh, it's you two.
Because the guy I had a crush on
I
has
was just about
vanished!
to go looking for you. I wanted to thank you. I was part of the search party, so I remember what happened to Caribert now. Honestly, I just can't believe I forgot something so important.
I'm sure he wouldn't want you to forget him.
It's funny, but I have this feeling he told me the same thing. I just can't seem to remember when. I guess it doesn't really matter anyway. Life is made up of a series of memories. As long as I hold on to our time together, he'll always be a part of my life. I'm just happy I got to meet him. So, who cares what happens in the future, right? Okay, I'll admit. I'm just putting on a brave face. I was dumped, wasn't I? Otherwise, why would he just leave like that without saying goodbye?
I'm sure he had his reasons.
You don't need to comfort me. I'll be okay. It's just like Caribert said. It's the things we overcome that make life more precious.
Dainsleif? Yeah, Dainsleif left us. The last we saw of Dainsleif was several scenes ago, whenever we entered a really cool ruin structure. And he kicked us out.
And you know, if he has a heart, maybe he'll come back and see me one day. Anyway, thanks for all your hard work, you two. I promised I'd help Granny Jahiet with something, so I should head back. Goodbye.
Well, that should be it, right? Everyone's lives can go back to normal now. Oh, right. Weren't you about to tell Paimon what happened after your conversation with Caribert?
I just did. I literally said Caribert is gone, the Loom of Fate is complete. Were you not paying attention, you dipshit? I can't remember. It feels like there's something in my pocket.
A picture? Where'd that come from? Let Paimon see.
You must get along with each other, the two of you. I want to be mad, but this makes perfect sense, actually. How did he make a picture? It's one thing to create a memory, because like we were both in the same space at the same time, and so he's able to get a picture that way, but like, how did he get a photo of the two of us? Like a physical, not just a memory of what happened, but a photo he can put in my pocket that I can tangibly touch. I couldn't even touch her to punch her. also like it because, like, while it's showing Caribert as his adult form that he thinks that he'll look like when he grows up, this is still the sentimentality of a little 8-year-old boy. You must get along with each other, the two of you. So it's cute. It's a cute idea. I like it. I like how it's done. It does make sense. The creation of a photo from a false memory from a person who does not exist has led to more cans of worms than the devs probably intended. I'm so mad. Did this get us anywhere closer in the Conria story? No, because F you players, we don't want to actually progress the Conria story. We'll give you 2 minutes of actual progression in the Conria story, and you had better like it. Jesus Christ. There it is. A precious group photo that has surpassed the rules somehow, being taken by some unknown person using unknown means in a space that should no longer exist. Even the game says that, like, it shouldn't exist. God. Ugh. The town where only I am missing. Long-awaited moment. The proof of existence. And bedtime story. Open the door to a certain secret study. Is that new? The word straight is like the word straight is the typography word straight. So like the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Okay. The love is all around, that's a daily thing. I don't know what the straight one is. Hi, cat.
See the value in my own work, but I also see the meaning in all the endeavors of the people of Fontaine.
Overall, I'm not satisfied with the story because we did not get actual Conria's story. We did not get actual context with anything. We got 2 pieces of information. One is the Loom of Fate being completed, and that the Loom of Fate is a device that, like, the Abyss Order is creating. Caribert died for its creation. He did not become its creation. He was like part of a linchpin to create it. And we know that Rhine-Daughter was part of a group of 5 people, 6 including Dainsleif, who basically got the power of gods and then decided when the cataclysm happened not to defend their nation. So they are sinners. That's really weird. So I can understand. So we don't really know what the cataclysm is, right? Like, the cataclysm is the idea that Celestia unleashed its heavenly powers and gave a curse to the Conrians, and that's how the Hilichurls, who are not pureblood Conrians, came into being, and that's how people who, like, are pureblood, like Caribert's father, Clothar, and Dainsleif, are cursed to have corrosion upon them, immortality. to live with their suffering. However, through our exploration of the world, we have found that Conria people, some people within Conria, had discovered about the Abyss Order and were experimenting with pulling the Abyss Order
Melusines are
into our
beautiful
reality through
creatures.
powers.
They are
We
the
now
pride of
know that the
Fontaine.
people who were in charge
Be
of that
sure
were
to
the
befriend
five
them
crazies,
and
Rhine
cause
Daughter,
them no
Gold, and so
harm.
on and so forth. Rhine Daughter being the one who created the homunculus, Albedo, and Durin off of the powers of Elinus. And Elinus is not from this world, it sounds like. So, like, we have an answer to a question that is the same as doing like a single small world quest. There's no real actual answer to the story. We have 5 names, 3 of which we had already heard before, and then we found out that one of the names is the Vidofini or whatever it was, is Danesleep's brother. We
Water
have
comes
not
in
gained
many
any
flavors
actual
to the
knowledge
descending palate.
past
Mondstadt's
that.
water is crisp and pure, while
Like,
water
they
from
spent
Leah
all this time
has an
giving us all this
enduring
energy and
aftertaste.
stuff for all
In
this stuff,
Inazuma,
but there's nothing
water possesses a depth of
there's nothing substantial to chew on. That's the best way that I can describe it. There's nothing substantial to actually chew on. And that's frustrating. Cuz like I get more substantial stuff to chew on from doing a
Sumeru's
regular
water
quest in
has a rich-
Fontaine or Sumeru or whatever. Like I get more stuff to chew on and think about than I did from this. And that's just frustrating. Beyond frustrating. Because like the idea of a new Conria patch is that it should be interesting. We've waited a year plus to see Danesleaf again because we haven't seen him in so long since the memory with our twin. And this is what we get. Are we not going to get anything else that expands on the Conria story until May, June, and July next year? Because that is bad. Like, I understand you want to have story spaced throughout your game so that people continue to play. But like, one of the draws that I have for Final Fantasy XIV when an expansion hits is the entire story is already out. If I want to sit there for 40, 50, 60 hours and just burn through the entire story in one go in Final Fantasy XIV, I can do that. And I don't have to worry about that. And like PSO2, when I was playing it when the story was actively coming out, the story was actively coming out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was just happening. It was coming out. And so like we would get new story stuff like every 2 or 3 months in PSO2. And it wasn't just like a 30-minute, 1-hour expose into a small little bit of story. It was something that was interesting and deep, and it was eventful and memorable. Like, I remember the sections whenever Matoy, whenever you first find Matoy at the start of the game. And I remember whenever we first interact with Persona. And I remember whenever we're altering the timeline, instead of continuing forward on our pathway to find Matoy, where she has become corrupted and has turned into the Falls. Instead of going that way, I mean, she actually becomes Profound Darkness at that point. But instead of continuing straight and becoming that, you literally take a path to the right because you're changing time. You are a time traveler in PSO2, and we do that. We go into the time, and we go into a point of time where before she becomes Profound Darkness. Like, we've gone through all the steps. We've fought her. We've defeated Profound Darkness. We have barely won, but we still lost Matoy in the process. And so we are given the chance by the Akashic Record to go in and save her daughter Matoy from becoming Profound Darkness by going in and choosing to save her instead of kill her. And like, we get there at a time when it does work. And so whenever we get to Matoy and we get her, like, Yes, we have ramifications for that. We have a time jump for ramifications because we interacted with a large number of negative, whatever it's crap called in PSO2. And we're asleep for like 3 years while we're recovering. But like, that story stuff happens consistently. Every 2 or 3 months or whatever it was, new stuff would roll out, and it was always attached to story, and it was always attached to the main story. Even if it was like a slight divergence, it was still the main story going forward. Like whenever we were interacting with the Harkotans and the Yucatans, whatever they're called, the white and dark yin yang planet, when we're interacting with them, that entire stuff, by the time you're through with one of it, the next one has come out, kind of thing. And like, that's just playing casually. The stuff would pop up and come out. And like, if their idea to progress this game is not to progress the main story of Conria for literal years, that's really bad. And I'm looking at it right now really quick. Yeah. Our story hasn't changed. What's the point of this? What is the point of the Traveler having a story, and this is literally from like 1.0? That's what the story stuff is. The story stuff has not changed from basically like 1.0 with Liyue. I don't think the story thing even has us fighting, what's his name? Charcadet. Apple Tart. I don't think this has us fighting Child in it whatsoever. I'm not gonna sit here and read it because I'm lazy. But like, if this is supposed to be a summary of like, this is Mondstadt, this is what happens with our twin, this is how we are finding out what's going on with, she has now working with the Abyss Order and stuff, that's where this ends. We should have chapter 3 by now, because chapter 3 should summarize that we have found out that there's an evil god happening, that there is Rhine daughter created Albedo, but she's also apparently on the side of evil because she was corrupted by the power of the Abyss Order and stuff. Like, there's all this stuff, this extra stuff, and like, you cannot convince me that the Abyss Order, by using this evil god's energies to corrupt the world and corrupt that Venti statue, was actually a good thing. You cannot tell me that. You can tell me that like the Archons are not supposed to be in power because it belongs to the sovereigns, but the Abyss Order is not at all interested in that at all. And how the hell did the Abyss Order know that the Hydra Archon destroyed her seat? Like, I understand that they have a research network, but that literally happened in the presence of myself and Nouvelette. So unless they asked Nouvelette what the hell happened, because like, they didn't get the Gnosis. There's, unless the Fatui is also working with the Abyss Order, like there are questions that could have been answered by this point, and they are choosing not to, and that's just really irritating. Same thing with like, oh, this was this one story thing, and we're going to have your memories erased, and you won't remember it, and then literally our memory exists because we remember the Loom of Fate is finished, and then Paimon doesn't react to that statement at all. Like, what? We're not going to see the result of this in a year? And like, I get that they want to progress the other stories of like Natlan and Shniznaya and the Fatuis and stuff, but like, they could. You cannot tell me that they cannot give us stories. Like, this happened in Sumeru, post Fontaine. We could have gotten this in like January, like 2 months after whatever the post of Fontaine was, which was just a couple months, which is just like what, 4 or 5 months ago at least. There's no reason why we couldn't have gotten that. That's so stupid. What's on our event page, actually, out of curiosity?